What's going on, everyone? We're trapped inside again for the umpteenth day in a row, and I figured, why not talk Titans today? We're doing another live stream here. I think this is quarantine stream number 4. Just a random day I picked. Thursday I had off, so here we are. But if you guys have been watching these, basically I've just been picking a shortbacks or two out of the collection and just showing off, a run that's in that short box and telling you guys what I think about it and just showing off some of the fun stories that are in these boxes and inside the pages. But look at this. We got Chris Barrett already in the chat. Man, Chris, you're always in the chats, man. I appreciate it. Grateful you're here. So big thanks for joining us. Hopefully you got those. I guess you have to have the notifications on to see these streams. So I'm slowly trying to figure out if I'm visible on the subscriber feeds or not. Basically, I queued this up earlier as a scheduled event, and then I completely scrapped that and just built it so I could hit live. So we'll see if that worked or not. But we got some people hopping in here. We got Fuchsia only. What's going on, Fuchsia? Nice to see you in the chat. And then we got TMC Comics. What is going on, TMC? And then it hasn't popped up on the StreamYards yet, but we also got Scott Evans in the chat. What is going on, Scott Evans? Speaking of Scott Evans, I know he loves him some Modern Men. I went and put a few links down below. When you're done watching this, feel free to go watch Modern Men episode 24. We had a lot of fun recording that this last Monday. We talked about our favorite cartoons. We each did a top 5 list. And we got to read the Superman, which I always love. So that was a lot of fun. Next week, we'll be doing episode 25. It's probably going to be about 90 minutes dedicated to just X-Men talk. So if you like X-Men, feel free to tune in for that. I also put the community tab for the Comic Core down below. So if you haven't got your vote in yet for anything but House and Powers of X, despite Drew, or go ahead and vote for that. That's fine. I love all 5 of the reads on there, but definitely throw in your vote for your favorite X-Men book on that list. And we'll announce the winner Friday and get ready to read that. It's probably going to be House Powers of X. Thanks, Drew. Appreciate that. And then last link down below is for the new Comic Book Day Comic Book Reader Club on John's Comics with Kids and Alec Whitewell Comics channels. This one was on John's Comics with Kids channel, and we talked about Fables last night. They were nice enough to have me on, so definitely check that link out below as well. We had a lot of fun talking about Fables. It was my first time reading Fables, actually. So definitely enjoyed reading that for the first time ever. But before we start talking about Titans tonight, I actually had, I've done room tours in the past. Actually, if you go to, my main page, you'll see a room tour I did probably over a year ago at this point. And unfortunately, stupid me keeps buying more and more books, filling this room. So it's time to admit some comic collecting sins here. So I took 3 screen captures of this room around me because they're basically going to act as before picks. So with the rest of my day off after the stream, I'm going to try to do some reorganization. I actually bought another shelf to put in this room. So without further ado, we'll show off some picks here. So here's my hardcover wall with a bunch of games as well. And I need to rehang Legends Awesome AOK down there, the Tales from the Bin Don Rosa print. That'll go right next to Secret Wars number 8 right there. So I'll be rehanging that today as well. I just leaned it there because I found a place for it finally. But I took this picture because I think I'm going to yank that video game shelf that's on the wide left and put that in my downstairs room. So that way I have a little bit more room to breathe. I may put a smaller shelf there just for some of the turtle action figures. But yeah, this is kind of a shot of my room I don't show on every feed I have. So figured I'd go ahead and put that. But unfortunately, my bigger sins are in these next couple photos. Here is the closet behind me wide open. Sure, the shelf next to it looks all right. I don't mind the turtle decorations there for now. I kind of just left them up because I kind of like the way they look. But eventually, I'm going to want to get a short box off that rack. So I don't want to leave those action figures there on that rack forever. So hopefully if I move the one shelf, sorry, every time I do these streams, I get a phone call for some reason. So basically, I'm planning on taking down that shelf, or not taking down that shelf, taking the action figures and putting them on a different shelf closer to the door, something smaller so I can get in and out of this room easier. But if you look at that closet on the right side, my God, the amount of books, usually my sort piles are kind of under control. But fortunately, when you work 50 hours a week and you just hadn't had a break, for a while and your vacations, you're out of town. The books keep piling up like that. So unfortunately, I also need to get some bags and boards. So I can't even really bag and board anything until I do my hopefully supply order soon. But yeah, as you can see on top of the boxes in there, things are getting a little chaotic. And then the final camera shot is right here. As you can see, the computer, that's where I'm sitting at now in that wide chair. But these two other chairs, I'm yanking them out of the room. They're taking up just too much space. So I'm definitely going to get rid of those. Probably going to replace with like a small fold-out table so I can actually use that table to organize all the chaos. And unfortunately, there are more books on top of the actual staging area than there is in the staging area next to the left of Steranko Captain America up there. So definitely need to improve upon what I'm doing up there because I have 10 times the amount of books unsorted and out of boxes and unbagged than I do in actual boxes and stuff. So not too happy with that. So I'm definitely going to be doing a lot of reorganizing. So hopefully influence us to reorganize everything and all that good stuff. But without further ado, I'll probably keep this short because I keep getting texts and calls. I want to show off some Titans. So basically the reason I wanted to show off some Titans, good God, man. Okay, sorry about that. So I just got done reading the Judas Contract digitally. It's the first time I ever read that too. It's just one of those things I kind of put off, and then I saw it was like a suggested read by Comixology, and it was on Comixology Unlimited. So I'm like, screw it, I'm going to read it for free then, basically. So I was definitely very happy with that story. So hopefully it's in this box I'll talk about when I get there. So let's see if I can find the start of my Teen Titans collection. And here we go. Of course, what better book to start off with than Teen Titans #1. So got this one in an antique shop, probably I think late last year. It is a very beat copy, but I'm just happy to have it. If you look very close, you can actually see Wally West there. Someone has stenciled him in, and actually where Robin's at, they did the same thing. So there's a lot of like pencil etched into the cover. I'm actually a little afraid to open it because I think the staples were hanging on by a hair. But I think I only paid, like, if I remember right, maybe $15 for it. So not a book I thought I'd ever have in the collection, but still very nice to have for a decent price. Maybe one day I'll look into an upgrade on it because, like I said, it's a potato of a copy for sure. But still very happy to have a Teen Titans #1 in the collection. Would like to one day get their first appearance, I think, up there in the unsorted section. Actually, I wonder if I could just reach the tees. There's Turtles, of course. So let's see what we got. Nothing there except for a couple Perez and Wolfman Titans. But we'll get more into Perez and Wolfman here in a minute. But yeah, I'd like to get their showcase appearances. I'm slowly building up these Nick Cardy ones. So here's issue 16. So some good Silver Age action there. I'm not going super heavy in the Titans Silver Age just yet. I'd like to one day, but I don't see them around often enough to buy a bunch of them, and I don't really go to eBay or anything to buy a lot of my stuff right now. So yeah, maybe one day I'll try to build this collection a bit more for the first run of Titans. But there's issue 34 as well. Getting into the 15-cent Bronze Age there. See what else we got. Here is issue number 36. And one day I'd like to sit down and actually read a lot of the older ones too. The main reading focus I have on Titans right now is just trying to read some of those legendary Wolfman and Perez stories, are synonymous with Titans now. But like I said, there's issue 39. I'm just trying to build those up a little bit as I see them. And that's pretty much it for my silver and bronze. It leapfrogs right into this beauty of a copy here. So here's New Teen Titans #1. Got this signed by Marv Wolfman and George Perez. This comic in particular was actually at AOK from a Poor Man's Comics. Like I said, one of my best buds in the community. He watched one of my live streams one day, and I think he got this for $1. And I was just saying, no, that book has eluded me for the entire time I was collecting. And he was nice enough just to send it to me in a box like within the same week. So I got it signed, then he asked for it back. I haven't given it back to him yet, but One day he'll probably hassle me on it again. But New Teen Titans #1, huge thanks to Poor Man's for this copy in particular. You know what's funny? I don't think I've seen a copy of it since he's given me this. So technically, this book has still eluded me after all this time. Usually, I feel like I can find just about anything like mid 80s and up for fairly cheap prices and bins and such. And for whatever reason, I just haven't rolled into a copy of that like ever. So the one copy I have was an A-OK. I did have this copy of issue #2. I did get this in an eBay lot way back when. Luckily, I paid a couple bucks for. I think it was like $2 for every book in the lot. It was kind of like one of those, I guess, quote unquote stealth buys. It's a decent copy, except for the very bottom corner, and it is kind of mangled up right there, as you can see by Cyborg's head. There is a chunk missing out of the cover. That is the biggest, obviously, the biggest imperfection on there. And actually, Chris Barrett asked the question, I think, is unfortunately in one of those annoying, horrible piles in there I need to sort out. He's asking, do I have the first appearance of the new team? I do, actually, and it's probably in there, unfortunately. So, should have thought of that before we did this video. So, thanks, Chris. I'll have to show that off in the future again. I think I showed on a live stream several months back. Then I got issue #3. Like I said, I enjoyed this run decent enough. I think it was a bit overhyped for me on the first part of it. I did like the whole thing where they have Ravager trying to hunt the Teen Titans, and when Hive hires him to, and then he pretty much immediately gets taken out. Then his dad, Deathstroke, that's when he kind of takes over, and pretty much the series is just built around that. So then there's issue #4 where they kind of butt heads with the Justice League, and there's Zatanna right there, and that seems to be kind of a common theme in the Teen Titans runs. They eventually have that early on issue where they just have a beef with the Justice League for whatever reason. They didn't like it that they formed a team. They even do that in a book I'll show off here in a little bit. Issue #5. And I think issue #6. And this is just kind of one of those runs I decided to pick to try to build a run. Sometimes when you flip through a dollar bin, you're not going to find keys all the time, so you may as well pick a good solid series you're going to enjoy and just start building a run of it. And eventually, once you're flipping through like $1 and $2 bins, you'll be able to find a good chunk of it. And that's kind of what I've done with New Teen Titans. I think, like I said, the way I got issue 2, I think I got these first 10 issues, and then I've just slowly started to build my run out of that, basically. There's a pretty good copy of #9. Just needs to be rebagged. Oof, it's got some warping on that poly, so we'll fix that at some point. Actually, I think I have an issue 10 somewhere. If not, that is definitely on my list to get. But there's issue #11, good old newsstand copy. Actually, you know what? Look at that. We have a newsstand and a direct edition copy of that. The newsstand has a hell of a lot of spine roll, though. Gosh, that doesn't come well at all on the camera. So I'll just put it away and keep going. Issue #12, Flash of the Titans. I think besides Juice Contract, I think this is around where I kind of dropped off. And actually, I kind of forgot. I did get that signed by Marv Wolfman at C2E2 last year. This is kind of like one of those books. Like I said, I was building the run as best I could. And I actually found this at C2E2, so it was in my bag. So I went and waited in line for Perez. Wolfman. I was like, man, I may as well just pull that bag out based on what limits he had for signatures. So I think I took 2, but yeah, limit 5. I'm like, well, I have this on me. I may as well just take it out and put it on there. So Chris Barrett says I need to make an actual run list. Need to focus on my collecting. Yeah, basically what I do is I have my phone, and I have a notes app on my phone. And I just have a folder for New Teen Titans, folder for Amazing Spider-Man, a folder for Uncanny X-Men. And we got Comic Core saying, Kane. Don't know if that's Chad or Drew. Earlier it was Drew in the JB's chat, but maybe Chad he's on the chat now, perhaps. We got issue #14. And then hopefully, I still buy doubles of this, even though I have that list. Is a sad thing, because I'll buy them, I'll sort them, and I forget to subtract them from the list, and then I'll buy them again when I see them. Because I think this is around the first appearance of Terra, issue 17. I feel like I've already got a second copy of this one up there maybe, or in the piles over there. But still a good book to have, though, because like I said, the Judas contract is fresh in my mind. So I definitely want to read this issue particularly more now. So, and here's issue 19. Looks like I bought that one for $2 somewhere. I think I was at a shop up north. Actually, I think it was at 10th Planet Comics in Schroerville, Indiana. I know it's an Alex the Comic Order favorite shop that he likes to go to. Here is issue number 20. And let's keep going. Issue 21. Yeah, I knew I just bought this one the other day for $2. Actually put it in a Mylar already. Here's issue 21. Actually, this issue, no, it may have been an upgrade for me, but hey, I might keep this one because it's a newsstand. First Brother Blood, issue number 21. You gotta love it. So, like I said, I probably didn't subtract that one off the list. It went in the box. I bought it again. Issue number 22. Chris Barrett says, I have my top 10 want list for the year. Made it this week, but I already got to cross off a book. Here we go. We got issue number 23, first appearance of Blackfire. Once again, we're going to have to get some bag upgrades on some of these. This is another book. I tend to buy it quite a bit because, hey, first Blackfire, why not? Issue number 24. Always like that cover, too. Issue number 25. And I think I was like closing my list off at 50 just because like I was slowly running out of room, but I might open that up now. Just see if I can get this whole run finally. Oh, yeah, we got Count Von Strange in the chat. What's going on, Count? Nice to see you today in the chat. We got issue 26. So as you can see, I'm slowly getting this whole run filled out. It's issue number 27. Wally's not having a good day. Imagine that. He didn't have a good run in Titans, it seemed like. We got issue number 29, so it looks like I'm missing 28 still, or it just needs to be sorted in. Who knows? I probably showed it earlier in that stack I had. What's going on, JB? We got Discovery Bay Comics in the chat. Big thanks, JB, earlier for shouting me out on your community stream thing. I probably had to change the link up since then, but I definitely appreciate the shout out nonetheless. We got issue number 30. Once again, I think this was in my bag when I met Warv Wolfman at C2E2 last year. This one where obviously Tara joins the Titans, that little bucktooth jerk. It always cracks me up when you see like the evil Tara scenes. She like miraculously spawns this cigarette in her mouth, and it makes me laugh every single time. She's just got these buck teeth, and then there's a little cigarette hanging out of it. So it pops me every single time for whatever reason. We got issue number 31. Cool Raven cover on that one. Oh, thanks, JB. That's awesome, man. He says he updated the link already for his community page. Man, that guy, man, if you need to know what's going on in the community, don't check the YouTube subscriber feed. Just go right to just Discovery Bay. He'll point you in the right direction every time. Issue 32. Now I'm getting to that good stuff I just read this morning. Issue 33. Who Killed Trident? Ooh, I do need an upgrade on this one. It's got a rusty staple, and it's from the 80s. Ugh. Wonder why I should have just passed on that copy. But hey, sometimes you need them. Luckily, I did. I know I didn't pay $8 for this one, but we got New Teen Titans 34. I love those Deathstroke covers. Deathstroke, man, he steals the show in this run for sure. We got issue number 35. Issue number 36. And I think I'm getting to the point where I actually won a contest to get some of these books. Issue 37. Just all out chaos on there. Issue number 38. I always kind of like this Who is Donna Troy cover. It just kind of breaks the complete style of the rest of the comic. I mean, who doesn't love some George Perez, but doesn't hurt to mix it up every once in a while. Number 39. I think this is pretty much where the Judas contract trade started. So you get to see Wally. He kind of leaves the team. He wants to go back to college. He's got a girlfriend, so a lot of his time on the team he spent just thinking about other things. And then Robin, he doesn't really agree with a lot of Batman's tactics. He decides it's time to become his own man, so he hangs up the Robin tunic finally. So really cool issue. He kind of steals. It's kind of like he steals Flash's thunder though, or Kid Flash's thunder. Basically, Flash he's like, I don't want to be on the team anymore because of this. And Robin's like, well, I guess it's a good time as any. Like, I'm still part of the team, but I'm not Robin. I don't know who I am. We're like, okay, well, see ya, Wally. So fun issue, good read, highly recommend it. And then we got issue 40. His name is Brother Blood. So this is kind of building up to the Judas contract, but unfortunately, they still got to figure out this whole Brother Blood situation before going into the Hive situation with Deathstroke. So this one wasn't too bad, but I was just ready for them to fight Deathstroke and Terra at the end of the day. I've never been a big Brother Blood guy, but still a solid issue, though. I mean, it just shows how powerful Brother Blood is, and you get to see Terra's shenanigans where she's undercover helping Deathstroke, but she's still helping the team beat Brother Blood. So that's probably the most intriguing part of this story. We got issue number 41. This is where Brother Blood has seized control of Dick Grayson. He's not Robin. He's not Nightwing yet. He is literally just Dick Grayson, and it's driving Coriander crazy. So this next one, this is the Judas Contract Part 1. So I actually got this issue here. This was like the next few issues were a contest when the Boy Who Had 7 had a contest. I don't even remember, like it was probably like a subscriber celebration, but I actually won his contest, and he sent me the Judas Contract in single issues. So big shout out to the Boy Who Had 7. Some really high quality copies too. You know, if you get books from him, they're going to be good quality. So here's Judas Contract Part 1. And this is kind of where you get to see like the story told more or less from Terra and Deathstroke's perspective. She's kind of visiting the Titans, and occasionally they'll go to like this panel shot of it'll just look like a TV because Deathstroke is watching them. So pretty cool moment there. You kind of get to see how how Deathstroke is figuring out all the secrets of the Teen Titans, and eventually he goes and attacks Dick Grayson. I believe it's around issue 43 here. So he attacks Dick Grayson in this, and luckily Dick gets away, but he goes and checks on everyone else. And it's one of those moments where he goes and checks on everyone else, but they're all already missing and they've already been defeated. So unfortunately for him, he was dead last on Deathstroke's list because Deathstroke underestimated him the most, basically, because he doesn't have any powers. So it was really cool seeing Dick Grayson go around to each of his friends' houses, and there's already been that conflict there. And he's also using his detective skills to deduce how they were apprehended. So it's a pretty cool issue, actually. And then the next one, of course, as you know, that's the big first appearances. Of course, I had to get this one double signed by Marv Wolfman, George Perez. Once again, huge shout out to Boy Who Had 7 for giving me this copy as a part of the contest. But this is the one where you kind of get to see Jericho and his mother come in. They're at Titans Tower waiting on Dick Grayson there. And they kind of explain to him who Deathstroke is. So I didn't realize this until I read it this afternoon. Not only is this like the big first appearance of Jericho and Dick becoming Nightwing, but it's a really good just origin story for Deathstroke, where Deathstroke's wife basically explains his entire origin to Dick Grayson and to Jericho, kind of explaining where he came from, and how they got divorced and all that stuff. So very valued because of the Nightwing appearance, but really underestimated for the Deathstroke origin. So if you like Deathstroke, this issue is absolutely a must read. It's a very good issue. Can't say enough good things about it. Before I keep going, though, we got a few more people I want to say hi to in the chat. We got Samuel David. What's going on, Samuel? He's always hopping in these chats. I always like seeing him in the chat. So what's going on, Samuel? Thank you for finding the feed today. And, of course, my first subscriber ever, Fish Tropic. What is going on, man? Nice to see you out and about, and say thank you for telling everyone to smash that like button. All right, we'll keep going. So the big culmination for the Judas contract is, it's annual number 3. So Tales of the Teen Titans annual number 3. So at this point, the Titans have been apprehended by Hive thanks to Deathstroke and Terra. They're figuring out that Terra is this bucktooth smoking heel that they shouldn't like. She broke Beast Boy's heart. And then meanwhile, you have Nightwing coming onto the scene for the first time with Jericho for the first time. So there's a lot of cool things that culminate in this annual. And by the end of it, Terra, she just hates everybody and everything. Jericho uses his power to take control of Deathstroke, so he starts fighting Terra. So Terra not only hates the Titans now, she has it in for Deathstroke, and they all have it in for Hive because Hive, they're not paying Deathstroke because he hasn't apprehended Dick Grayson yet. And he never apprehended Kid Flash, who isn't even in the story anymore. So pretty much all the bad guys at this point hate each other. So Terra just snaps, brings the whole building down, kind of like Super Shredder and that wooden bridge at the end of Turtles 2. Ends up taking her own life in the process, so it ends with a funeral with Geoforce there. And probably the most moving part about this whole thing isn't the fact that, like, the Teen Titans, they hold this funeral, and they actually decide to remember Terra as a Teen Titan and respect her as a Titan at her funeral, where they could have just said, you know, she turned on us, we don't like her anymore. They decided that, you know, she was a troubled teenager that didn't find her way in time, and she definitely helped the Titans in their time of need. So actually a really touching ending. Of course, Beast Boy is just a mess by the end of it. But yeah, really cool finale to the Judas Contract. I was so happy with that story. I first time reading it, I was definitely not disappointed. And eventually I need to keep reading because I haven't read these further ones yet. But we got issue 45. Kind of nervous about it because I've never been a big Aqualad fan, so we'll see where that goes. Issue number 46. I'm guessing they're getting closer to that Donna Troy wedding at this point because they were definitely hyping up that storyline and the Judas Contract. And of course, 47 I'll read because I just go back and end Hive once and for all. It looks like there. Yeah, terror ruins everything, says Chris Barrett. And then it was kind of funny because I think they did the storyline in the Johns run pretty much the exact same time on Tales of the Teen Titans. So this is issue 48 where they basically fight, looks like a version of Titans East. But I know they do a swipe later down the line of this cover, and it's pretty awesome. Then, of course, they always have to fight Dr. Light. There's issue 49. So when Dr. Light comes back, he usually is a menace. And it looks like Flash actually comes back then, so I'm looking forward to that. And then, of course, the big anniversary issue where Wonder Girl finally gets married. Like I said, they hyped this one up for a while. And, you know, I'm just going to skip to some of the other stuff I've actually read. Let's go to the John's run here. Actually, I got to stop on this one first. Actually, I'm going to stop before that because there's a cover I really like that's in here, I believe. Come on. There we go. Got this one signed by George Perez. I like the cover so much. But I just always like that Starfire issue number 4 from the it's like these one-shots they did. So got the Perez signature right down there. But one of my favorite covers he's done. Not my favorite. My favorite is still the JLA Avengers issue 3. Because he literally drew like every single character ever on that. So here's Titans Young Justice Graduation Day. I mean, wasn't a big fan of this one. This is one of those books. They just did a mini-series so they could lead in to a new Teen Titans book and a new Outsiders book, which, cool. Great runs there. But Graduation Day, not so much fun. So that they definitely had to cause that like schism to get the teams to where they wanted to be, but unfortunately, the execution on this wasn't the best. Judd Winnick, I like Ollie Goddard's art at least, but I've never been a huge Judd Winnick guy, but at least he went on to write Outsiders, which that run wasn't too bad. Before I talk about that more, I definitely want to welcome Bob World into the chat. If you guys like those bumpers on the Comic Core channel, definitely have Bob World to thank for all of those. Hopefully, Bob World, you are doing well. Haven't seen you around for a minute. So, Bob World, thanks for joining in, man. Greatly appreciate it. But yeah, Graduation Day, it's kind of dumb. They eventually, by the end of it, they kill off Donna Troy via a cyber Superman who's not cyborg Superman. It's just a robot that Superman didn't have in check. So pretty dumb in my opinion. Didn't like it. So it's kind of funny too, because I really like this next book a lot, obviously. And I always wanted to read Graduation Day because I couldn't find it when it originally came out, because a little bit of speculation, because these books were so hot back in the day that everyone bought up Graduation Day. And now I'm kind of glad I didn't pay a lot of money for that, besides like maybe 50 cents or a buck. But here's the run. This is my favorite Titans run personally. Teen Titans issue 1. Jeff Johns, Mike McKone. Got this one signed by Mike McKone. This is the technically, I think this is the 4th print. It is the sketch cover of Michael Turner's work from, I can't remember if it was the B cover or second print. I always forget. But there is a glorious color version of this, which I acquired last year in Indianapolis. But yeah, this is one of my favorite runs of a comic ever, because a lot of my boys got their spotlight finally. You know, I read a lot of Impulse, Superboy, and Robin when I was a kid. So when I took my break from comics and came back, this is the first book I couldn't wait to get my hands on it. So this one starts off, you have Superboy and Robin on the team. They're slowly getting the Titans back together. But the big twist at the end is, unbeknownst to the team, Lex Luthor is sending Tim Drake AOL instant messages, basically. So sounds funny now, but think it's 2003, so instant messenger was still a pretty big thing back then. But in the instant message, he sends that the DNA results for Superboy aren't of this Cadmus Labs professor. I think is Professor Westfield, I think was who he was originally supposed to be cloned from. He is actually half clone Superman, half clone Lex Luthor. And that's where everything pretty much changes for Connor Kent. So at this point, they pretty much canceled all of the series for Robin, Impulse, and Superboy and funneled them all into this. And Young Justice, of course, got canceled on top of it too. So pretty much Jeff Johns took over the characters completely. And over the course of the run, it's definitely like you get to see the characters grow quite a bit. So I got this one, issue 2, once again signed by McKone, and then in the silver, hopefully it comes well enough on the camera, signed by Jeff Johns. So got a lot of this run double signed. I liked it so much. Rebagged them recently too. Once again, there's the Cassie cover for issue 3, double signed. I think they kind of maybe connect together a little bit. Maybe I'm making that up. Yeah, maybe I made that up. I thought they were connecting covers, but I'm wrong. Because the backgrounds have like the older new Teen Titans in there. Then issue number 4, you get Robin and Beast Boy. And once again, I got 2 signatures on the bottom of that. Jeff Johns, Mike McKone. So I like the way McKone always drew Tim Drake. I don't know what it is about it, but I definitely, if you can't have Tom Grummett, I like Mike McKone's art style in this. And then there's issue 5. Got that one double signed as well. And I believe that was technically the end of the first run. So the first run, and also I forgot to mention Kid Flash's development in this. You get to see kind of in this issue, he goes from Impulse to Kid Flash officially. I think it was either in the first, maybe early in the second issue, Deathstroke finds him. And Deathstroke in this first run, he's actually been taken over by Jericho. So when Jericho got killed, he leapt into Deathstroke because he was near him. And so the Deathstroke fighting him is actually Jericho posing as Deathstroke, basically. So you get Jericho / Deathstroke, and the first impression he makes to the new Teen Titans is he finds Impulse, and he takes him down, and the message he sends is just a bullet to the kneecap of Impulse. So he wanted to cause as much pain as possible to one of the Titans just to send a message that, you know, there's no more Young Justice playtime. Playtime's over. So that was a heck of a way to start that. And then Kid Flash / Impulse feels pretty bad that, you know, he's the one who got targeted, and, you know, he felt like he was the weakest link. So he decided to finally better himself. So Wally, earlier on, he keeps egging on Impulse because he's not going to school. He's not doing his homework. So Impulse finally decides, like, you know what? Wally's right. I need to focus. I need to learn more. And he just goes and reads an entire library in like a couple hours. So you all of a sudden see, and he puts on the Kid Flash costume because he wants to emulate Wally a little bit more. You know, he looks up to Wally. while he's the Flash in the DC universe at this point. And that's basically his role model. He decides he needs to be like his role model, basically. So he becomes Kid Flash. He gains all this knowledge he didn't have as Impulse, and he becomes a better person for it as well. And like I said, usually on every issue 6 for both these runs, they got to fight the Justice League for whatever reason. So this one, it's a little bit petty the way it starts. It basically Cassie and Wonder Girl and Superboy, they're starting to get a little frisky with each other a little bit. And who doesn't like that but the Wonder Woman? So Wonder Woman comes upon them, having a good time with each other. And of course, what she do, she just throws them across the sea, basically. So you don't mess with Wonder Woman. So Cassie and Wonder Woman start fighting. And it's kind of just a quick little meltdown from there until Dick Grayson, Nightwing of all people, shows up. He goes, basically, I kind of been a member of the JLA. I'm definitely been a member of the Teen Titans. Like, let these kids be the Teen Titans, and you guys worry about being the JLA. So Dick Grayson is ultimately the one who calls a truce between the two teams at the end of that one. And, of course, that one's double signed as well. Before I keep going, I do want to say hi to some people in the chat. We got Prowler671. What's going on, man? He says he's also wearing that newsstand shirt. That's awesome, man. Big thanks for wearing the newsstand shirt. Very cool. And we got Bob World still in the chat, and then Chris Barrett is still in there as well. Thank you guys for joining me on this random afternoon. And then we got issue number 7. So you get a couple storylines there. So they finally got the Jericho thing kind of resolved temporarily. So you kind of get Slade being Slade Wilson again as Deathstroke. You get some good time on the farm with Superman and Superboy, just kind of doing some bonding finally, because it was like very shortly before this run where he got the name Connor Kent. So he's hanging out on the Kent farm a lot more. He's doing a lot more stuff a human would do instead of like 90s Superboy, still kind of an alien, but just being a degenerate at school, more or less. He's being a little bit more kind of like Kid Flash, basically. And then issue 8, that's where they start to bring back Brother Blood and Raven. So Raven's been absent at this point in the run, so they kind of use the second big arc in the run to bring back Raven. And, of course, Brother Blood. Like I said, never been a huge Brother Blood guy. Here's a fun issue, though, issue 9. This is where, before the whole shenanigans of Brother Blood start, they decide to steal the Batmobile because Tim has the keys. I guess who wouldn't, right? And, of course, that gets them into literally hot water, hot blood in this point. So you got a younger Brother Blood. They're fighting in that. And then, of course, that ultimately leads up to the return of Raven as a member of the team, as you can see here in issue number 11. So she basically saves the team from Brother Blood. And then issue 12 kind of ends that whole arc where they conquer him and unite the team on a whole front. And then there's some filler issues for a minute. I think there's a whole thing with, I don't even think I have the issues because I think I just read them digitally finally, but there's a whole 2-parter with Beast Boy where there's just some sort of jungle flu going around turning every animal into Beast Boy basically so they can morph into other characters and the zoos get out of control. So it's like a Beast Boy single tail basically. But in my opinion, the book really heats up again and gets into its stride around this. This is the Legion Special Teen Titans. So Superboy, he's just eating lunch one day, and all of a sudden he gets sucked into the future, and then he comes back dressed in the OG Superboy costume. So all of a sudden he's recruiting the Teen Titans to help them fight the Fatal 5. It's not the Fatal 5 anymore in the future. It's the Fatal 500. So they're like, yeah, we got to fight the Fatal 5. And they go to the future and have to fight 500 people with the biggest legion ever. So it's a pretty cool storyline. I don't know. It looks like, of course, it's all out of sort. For some reason, here's issue 25. I'll save that to talk about in a second. Chris Barrett's asking, before or after death of Superman, Superboy? This is definitely after the death of Superman, Superboy for sure. We got New Teen Titans 16, signed by Mike McCone. Like I said, this is the one where they have to go to the future to help out the Legion. And I think there's actually a part where they spin off into the Legion book, and you get that. I don't think I have that issue, unfortunately. But one of my favorite runs in this whole, run is the Titans of Tomorrow. It was so good they actually revisited it in James Tynion, the Forest Detective Comics run with DC Rebirth in 2016. You actually get to see this version of Batman / Tim Drake get dragged into that universe, basically. And that's where they started to bring back Connor into the continuity a little bit with that too. But here's the start of Titans of Tomorrow. So this is pretty much like the Teen Titans 10 years later. And of course, it's kind of just like the evil versions of them, or the versions you wouldn't want as your heroes. But, they've all kind of grown crooked over the years. Pretty much Cassie and Connor, they're married at this point. Tim is Batman with guns at this point, pretty much. Like when young Robin sees himself as Batman, he is not at all happy about it. He does not like the fact that he's become Batman because he just wanted to become a really good version of Robin, basically. He's always like just being Robin at this time. And then, of course, I think the one kind of good guy in the group is still Bart Allen Impulse, Kid Flash at this point. So he's kind of like the one they actually start the reason with as the run goes on, and the one that actually kind of helps the younger Titans out in the story. So like I said, it's a short story, but it's really good. Looks like we got TKS Batcave waving. What's going on, Batcave? How you doing today? We also got, here's 19. This is pretty much the end of that run. So it's only like a couple issues, but it's a very solid couple of issues. But then issue 20, they tie into Identity Crisis. The big part of that run that gets tied into is the whole thing with Dr. Light. In that run, he was revealed to have raped Sue Dibney on the Justice League satellite, and then they basically gave him a lobotomy because of Zatanna's powers. They were able to do that. So they kind of in that run established that Dr. Light was never quite himself after that point. So in Identity Crisis, sorry if I'm putting you to sleep, by the way, Chris Bear. I know Identity Crisis is very boring to you. But anyway, in Identity Crisis, he has flashbacks to when that happened, and all of a sudden he snaps out of his lobotomy, and he kind of remembers his true powers. So when you get to issues 21 and 22 here, it's called Twilight, basically, and it takes a lot of extra members and old Titan members to conquer Dr. Light. So, once again, signed by Mike McCone, issue number 23. As you can see there, they had to recruit a lot of heroes to take down Dr. Light that time. And they even mentioned that like Beast Boy was able to, at one point, take him one-on-one and win. That is definitely not the case in this story here. And they also brought Speedy on the team for a minute around that point. Like, I think Mia Smoke, whatever her name. I don't remember her name anymore. Like I said, her run on Titans was very short-lived because of the 1 year later storyline coming up. But here's another good one, especially for you Connor fans out there. Issue 24. This is where Lex Luthor's Grand Master scheme of taking over Superboy kicks in. So the whole time he's kind of let him be on the team as a good guy, but he's hit this like sleeper code in Superboy way back when, probably when he's originally created. And he decided to activate him as part of the Villains United storyline in Infinite Crisis. So he's also aligned with Brainiac, who has a sleeper agent on the Outsiders team. So the storyline actually ties into the Outsiders as well, which was written by Judd Winnick at the time. But the bigger story here is Superboy. He's taken over by Luthor. And as you can see, I'll bring up 25 again because it was out of order earlier. He wails on Tim Drake. He put some bruises on him pretty bad. So Tim and Cassie, they're closest to Superboy, so they feel it the worst. So by the time you get to issue number 26, which this is Tony Daniels' first issue, I believe. He does a lot of great work on the run as well. And there's Tony Daniels' signature down there. By the time you get to this, Superboy's just done. Like they helped him get control of his body back. But he doesn't trust himself at this point. He thinks Luthor can take over anytime he wants, which maybe he can, maybe he can't. But he is extremely nervous that if he reactivates himself on the team, Luthor will be in control again and seize the Teen Titans for himself. So Superboy at this point has decided to sit at home and do nothing. And Raven pays him a visit, and you get to kind of go into the mind of Superboy. And Raven tries to at least help him with the grief he's going through because he basically beat up his two best friends in the whole world. So, and obviously they were nice and forgave him, but Superboy is the only one who hasn't forgiven himself yet. Liz, we got John's Comics with Kids in the chat. What is going on, John? Once again, got the link down below to a book club last night. Please check that out. It was a lot of fun. Thanks to those guys again for having me. I skipped the next two issues because of the Rob Liefeld Hawk and Dove two-parter. I actually tried to read those once. I couldn't make it through half the first issue, so you can just skip the next two issues until you get to here. This is issue 29. Got signed by Jeff Johns and Tony Daniel. This is the issue where, like I said, Infinite Crisis was starting to heat up quite a bit. They brought back Jason Todd at this point. So one of Jason Todd's first thing he does is he goes to the Titans Tower, and he's never met Tim Drake before because he got killed off, and then they brought in Tim Drake. So this is kind of like the first interaction you see between Tim Drake and Jason Todd. And of course, it is not good. Tim Drake's already weakened from the fight with Connor. So when Red Hood shows up and starts beating him up too, it's not good. But luckily we had Donna Troy back at that point, who was pals with Jason Todd. So you get to see more on those two in that countdown run, which I don't recommend whatsoever. So you can skip that. Just read like Red Hood and the Outlaws or something if you like that character. And then once again, we always have to go back to Brother Blood. It seems like when they have nothing better for the Titans to do, they just bring back Brother Blood for an issue or two, or Dr. Light, just like here. But once again, got this double sign, Tony Daniel, Jeff Johns. Tony Daniels works really good on this series, by the way, if you hadn't guessed that. And then you get the Captain Carrot backups, too. Cool cover on this one. Here's issue 31. Once again, double signed there. And then you start to see Zombie, Hawk and Dove. Like I said, I think it's just because of that Liefeld run. I've never been a big Hawk and Dove fan, but they were really good on the Titans DC Universe show. We got Double S in the chat. He says, Nature Boy of the Comic Corps. Woo! So always happy to see Double S in the chats. And Fish Tropic asks, are all your books signed? Only 1,000 of them. And then here's one of my favorite stories. And this whole, I keep saying that, but like I said, this is probably one of my favorite runs of a book ever, just John's Titans. But here's issue 33. This is full Infinite Crisis mode crossover. Actually, do I have? Yeah, I got this one triple signed by Jeff Johns, Tony Daniel, and Todd Knock. She had Wolfman sign it too. I don't know what I was thinking there, but anyway, at this point, the whole DC universe is messed up because of Infinite Crisis. There's a lot of bad things going on. So I recommend definitely reading. There's a good trilogy of books to read here, basically. So you get, this is kind of where it starts with Nightwing there. Nightwing's kind of back in full swing. He escaped Bloodhaven because it got nuked basically by some of the villains. It got blown up by a character. I can't remember. It's like a big green goop guy. I can't remember his name right this second, but he basically is the equivalent of like a nuclear bomb. He blew up Bloodhaven, which is like Nightwing's base of operations at the time. So Nightwing luckily escaped, but he's kind of figuring out what's going on, the overall scheme of Infinite Crisis. He just needs to be able to get a team and get to where the bad stuff's going down. So Nightwing goes to Titan's Tower. He puts out the Titan signal to any former Titan or any Titan at all who is left standing. And the only person who can respond is Connor Kent Superboy, because he's been sitting at home since issue 26 just doing nothing. The only thing that's happened to him was, I think, Infinite Crisis number 4 or 5. Superboy Prime showed up and destroyed half of Smallville just talking to him. So he was already kind of like in a test tube, but he was recovered for the most part at this point. He's still kind of weakened from his Superboy Prime battle, but luckily he answered Nightwing's call, and you actually get to see a team up between these two, which in the comics at the time, really, these two characters, they never really got that chance to team up ever, at least that I ever read. But anyway, you get these two, and eventually they find Cassie Wonder Girl, so you get like a younger version of the Trinity, basically. And this is them getting together, and they're trying to figure out how to get to the Antarctic, because that's where Alexander Luthor and Superboy Prime are taking up operations to cause Infinite Crisis, basically. So you get this issue, and then the second issue of that really good re-trilogy, in my opinion, is Teen Titans Annual number 1. I think I got, yep, there's John's signature on that. This is one you just kind of get to see Connor and Cassie spend one last day together before going into battle. So, of course, there's fun shenanigans with crypto and that stuff. And you kind of get to see what the other Titans are up to. Basically, they're having to fight off a lot of the OMACs since the OMAC project has went rogue. It was controlled by Maxwell Lord. Then Wonder Woman kills Maxwell Lord. So the artificial intelligence has gone rogue and is taking over any person it can. So that's what Robin and the rest of the team is busy doing. But you get to see a lot of good moments between Cassie and Connor in this issue. And it's up on my wall over there, so I don't have it to show this second. I highly recommend, after reading this issue, Infinite Crisis number 6. That's the one where you get to see the 3 people from issue 33 go and fight Alexander Luthor. Psycho Pirate's involved too, and Superboy Prime. And they end up basically ending what's causing the crisis, but it takes the life of Connor Kent in the process, unfortunately. So you get to see Cassie and Tim have to grieve in that issue at the end of that. And then 34, this is when you get post-Infinite Crisis. So that 1 year later, any book you see with 1 year later on it, that's directly after Infinite Crisis. They decided the Infinite Crisis is so crazy, they just left every storyline, every book went 1 year after the end of Infinite Crisis, except for the 52-week stuff, which is well worth a read on its own. Got that one signed by Tony Daniel. This is a B cover for issue 34. As you can see, it's the memorial to Superboy there. So this is the one you kind of get to see Tim. He's slowly trying to rebuild the Titans team because after Crisis, they all kind of went their own way. Like, I think Coriander went and joined Dick Grayson on the Outsiders team. I think Cyborg comes back, if I remember right. Beast Boy's a part of Doom Patrol now. So basically, Tim is the only survivor because Cassie's gone completely rogue without Connor. And that only really leaves Tim and a new team. He starts getting Ravager and Kid Devil on the team and a lot of people he probably hadn't heard of. So actually, yeah, there you go. Perfect. So there's the A cover for issue 34. And that's pretty much your 1 year later Titans team until they get a few more people on the team. So there's only like 5 of them left because it was so nuts. Once again, signed by Jeff Johns, Tony Daniel on that one. By Cyborg, right? Yeah, it's not going to turn out too well on the camera. Sorry about that. We got Superior Hero Reviews in the chat. What is going on, man? Still got Prowler 671 liking that B cover on issue 34. Nice everyone joining me today. Thank you guys so much. We're just about wrapped up here, though, because I got to make some phone calls, it looks like. Issue 35, kind of like I said, they're just going back to basics in this run. Got that double signed. Like I said, you get some really good Tony Daniel art, if nothing else. Oh, yeah, I should have mentioned at this point as well. Once they kind of get Cassie reined back in on the team, she starts a relationship with Tim. So obviously that gets super awkward because they feel bad that they kind of both feel like they're betraying Connor in a way. So a lot of cool dynamic there. And then you get the Doom Patrol issue with Beast Boy. Got that one double signed, issue 36. So, and then I think the last ones, I actually got 3 more in here. There's wedged, a lot of them wedged in the end there. So we'll just take them out. Here's issue 37, double signed. Kid Devil, one of my favorite covers that Tony Daniel did was this Kid Devil cover. But I believe this is also the first appearance of Miss Martian, which she basically joins the team right after this. So she's a fun character as well. Issue number 38. And at this point, they're just going on recruiting missions, trying to build the Teen Titans again. So nothing too crazy. I think they accidentally recruit, I can't remember, like it's Captain Adam's female equivalent, basically, except she just completely turns bad guy on him instantly. So didn't quite have that same build up as like when Terra turned on the new Teen Titans. But last book I'll show because everything else is in another box, and I've rambled on long enough about the same stories. Here's issue 39. This introduces Zatara, which I think this is like either the grandson of the original Zatara or the nephew of Zatanna. I can't remember at this point. He basically spends a cup of coffee with the Titans is all it is. So you see him on and off, but yeah, like I said, they're kind of just going recruiting, and the main people who stick around are Miss Martian, Kid Devil, and then Ravager. Ravager sticks around for a while, and then Raven, she's on and off the team quite a bit as well. So definitely a very strong. Like I think he basically spends 50 total issues on there does Jeff Johns. And you get Mike McCone art. You get the Tony Daniel art. So 2 very solid artists. There's a couple filler issues that are worth avoiding, like the Rob Liefeld stuff. You can just avoid that by a mile. And then they had that rough Beast Boy storyline that was in the teens. So I don't recommend that one too much. But a lot of that Johns run, some of my favorite comics ever. Got me back into comic collecting, is like along with Mark Waid's Fantastic Four, the G.I. Joe Image stuff, and I'm sure a bunch of others, and then Ultimate Spider-Man, of course, and others I could sit here all day and mention. But like I said, I got some work phone calls to make, it looks like, here now. So big thanks for you guys for joining me. I'll try to at least do one of these every so often when I get a day off like this. But now I got to get back to this room, because if you guys didn't join me earlier, I'll just show the pics one more time. I got to move this bookshelf on the left. I got to hang some prints. I got to organize all those books that are just laying on top of my short boxes. I got to figure out a new home for those turtles. Those chairs, they got to get out of here. As you can see, the books are just completely disorganized. So I got a new shelf. The shelf is going to replace where the TV's at. The TV is going to move into a different room. So I'm just going to open this room up and see what happens. And I'll let you guys know the results, but I might do a new room tour at some point. If nothing else, it's probably going to take me a month or two the way I want it. But I do have a vacation I originally planned around where our original MegaCon trip, but obviously MegaCon is not happening in April now. So maybe that's what the phone call is about, is my vacation. We'll see. But I'm going to let you guys go. Big thanks for joining me today, and you guys have a good day. Thank you so